Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing today? Thank you for joining me on this very, very hot, very humid day in the lovely state of Florida. You know what? They ought to change the name of this state to Shake and Bake USA because it's always hot. This is the only state that I've ever seen where it can rain and it can be hot and you could be cold all in the span of one day. I'll never get used to that. Anyways, though, good morning, good afternoon, good night everyone around the world. I am your favorite friendly neighborhood beer bro,
Mr. Kennedy!
welcome to episode 4 of the Mr. VG podcast. I got a lot of news for y'all, a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff, a lot of things I'm excited for, not so excited for, a lot of mess stuff. Let's get on with it. Starting off with GameStop. Didn't think I'd be talking about these guys again, but GameStop CEO says that the company will lean into trading cards. GameStop is leaning heavily into the trading part cards of its future strategy, according to the CEO, Ryan Cohen. The news comes as part of a larger strategy shift to buy and hold a lot of Bitcoin. Cohen has said that continuing to focus on trading cards, including the incredibly popular recent Pokemon card sets, is a natural extension of GameStop's business. He added that the collectibles could have a potential high profit margins as well too. So there you have it, people. For the 5 people in here who actually care about that shit, GameStop is officially not doing the one thing that people go to that store for: to buy games. Not to buy a ramen noodles bowl, not to buy anime statues, not to buy Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We go there for games. Now, to be honest, the last time I went to GameStop for anything, I think Morgan Freeman was still a child. I mean, ever since I switched to the PC, I haven't been going to GameStop to buy any physical games because they don't sell any there. But for those people who still like to go to the store and like to buy used games, this is not a good sign for y'all. But what else do they have at this point? Let's be honest. What else does GameStop actually have that's valuable to us? You know, you go on websites that sell games much cheaper than them. We already know about how they do their trade-ins. You could take a game stack this damn high in there, and they will give you $5 for it. They're hemorrhaging a lot of money. What is the point? What do they have here? They might as well just become an online store, the way that Circuit City did, the way that Radio Shack did. Blockbuster did that for a while, but that didn't hold up. But I wouldn't be surprised if you hear GameStop is closing up, because there's absolutely nothing, there's no reason for them to stay open. You know, it is what it is. If they want to do trading cards, more power to you. Maybe they'll make their revenue back. I don't think so, but what else can they do at this point? Yes. Now, remember when I was talking about the SAG-AFTRA? See, I said it right that time. SAG-AFTRA, and the whole contract issues and disputes about video game companies using your likenesses with AI without paying you. It looks like we finally reached a good deal here. It looks like for now, the strike has come to an end. It says that SAG-AFTRA and video game companies reach a tentative deal and the strike ends in sight. The video game actors strike may soon come to an end. The Screen Actors Guild America Federation of Television and Radio Artists. Jeez, that's a long name. SAG-AFTRA. That's what that stands for. And a major video game labels, which include Activision Productions Inc., Blind Light LLC, Disney Character Voices Inc., Electronic Arts Production Inc., Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomnia Games, Take-Two Productions, and Warner Brothers Games Inc. have reached a tentative deal on the terms for the interactive media contract after months of work stoppage. It says SAG-AFTRA President Franz Drescher added, "Our video game performers stood strong against the biggest employees in the world's most lucrative industries. Their incredible courage and persistence, combined with their tireless work of our negotiating committee, has at last secured a deal. The needle has been moved forward, and we are much better off than we were before. As soon as this is ratified, we will roll up our sleeves and begin to plan our next negotiation. Every contract is a work in progress, and progress is the name of the game." Now, y'all remember, I was talking about this in the hot take days. Like it goes back at least a couple of months. I know the strike goes back further than that, but I told y'all I would keep up with this. So it looks like we're getting in the right direction between the Microsoft signing the very first unionized contract for video game developers and this. It looks like we got something good going here. I just hope that it's a snowball effect. I hope that these people get paid what they deserve. And because you're supposed to treat people right, you use their likenesses. Remember the Fortnite issue when Fortnite first came out and they were using people's likenesses and people's dances and stuff and not paying these people? And what happened? They ran into a huge lawsuit and they had to pay all of these people that money. All they had to do was cut people a little bit of what they were making. It's not that hard. So good for them. And I hope that this continues with other companies. Now, we're going to talk about Ben Studios because it seems like every time I turn around, there is another layoff, and I'm going to be talking about it at least 3 times in these notes. Ben Video Game Studios lay off around 30% of its workforce. A video game studio in Bend laid off around 30% of its workforce this week, which was a couple of weeks ago. The Bend Bulletin reported on Wednesday. Sony Interactive told the newspaper it chose to make cuts to Bend Studios, the developer behind the major game, Days Gone. The cuts followed January when Sony told Bloomberg News it canceled another project to the Bend developers and what they were working on. Bloomberg now estimates roughly around 40 employees have been let go. In a statement on the Facebook page, Ben Studios said it deeply appreciates the people who are leaving, saying that it helped shape the company. This is a difficult moment for our team, but we hold immense respect for everyone who got here, the studio wrote. As we move forward, we remain committed to the building of our future and the future of Ben Studios with creative passion, innovation, and the titles that we craft. So in recent years, the gaming industry has seen a series of massive layoffs. It's becoming a huge, huge problem, despite generating over $180 million last year. People are still being cut. So I see this, and while it sucks to see people lose their jobs, I don't want to see anybody get fired. But what these companies are doing, they're trimming the fat. They're getting rid of people. They're cutting people that they don't need so that they can save money that they've been throwing away. Because remember, the pandemic era, they were hiring people left and right, keeping people on lock. Now that that's done, it's over. It's been done. These companies got to do what they got to do. And it sucks when you work for companies like this and you get that notice that you're no longer needed. And I hope that these people land on their feet. I really do. Because I'm sick of seeing this stuff. I'm sick of seeing people getting laid off. And this will not be the first time in this episode that I'll be talking about layoffs. We'll get to that in the Microsoft section. Now for some good stuff. He didn't confirm it. He didn't say that he was going to do it. But he said he would like to do it. So the creator of Devil May Cry, Hideki Kiyama, I think it's Kamiya is open to doing a Devil May Cry remake. He said with all of the success with the Resident Evil remakes, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4 remakes, he said that he would not mind doing a remake of the first Devil May Cry. He was asked this on his YouTube channel. He said, I would love to do that. Although Kiyama doesn't often replay his own games, he sees enough of DMC that he knows that it's due for an update. Once in a while, I catch gameplay clips, and I think this really does look like a 24-year-old game design. Despite his desire to return to the series, he confirmed that he wasn't attached to any DMC projects currently in the works. So there you go. Now, it's not anything set in stone, but if the creator wants to remake the game, hey, Capcom, I take that. Look, I kind of wish they would relax on it, but you got something going here. You got something going here. A remake of the first Devil May Cry, which is one of the best games that ever came out on the PS2, along with Devil May Cry 3, which is better than 1. So if they want to do that, hey, sign me up for that. And since we're talking about teases, it seems like Konami. Let's talk about Konami for a second. Konami has risen up from the ashes like that dead zombie that you see in the movies. These guys are really trying to get the video gamers back in the fold with them, get them back in bed with them. They're really trying to get that fan base back. They're putting their best foot forward with the Metal Gear Solid remake that's coming out, the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the remake of Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill F, and now it looks as though they're teasing a remake to the original Silent Hill game. They teased it with a picture. They didn't say that it was going to be the original Silent Hill. But I did see the picture that they posted a couple of weeks ago. It says Silent Hill remake to be developed by Blooper Team, Konami announces. A new Silent Hill game is in development as Konami has announced that the studio behind the Silent Hill 2 remake, Bloober Teams, will be remaking the very first game in the series. The reveal came at the end of the Konami Press Start Live showcase. A short video was played and featured background music from the game. In the press release, Konami confirmed that it is the 1999 game that is being remade. So then I take that back. They point blank said we're remaking the first one. Now, I love Silent Hill. And with the success of Silent Hill 2, the Silent Hill 2 remake, sign me up for this. Inject that shit in my veins. Make me a junkie. If you want to remake 3, hell, I'll be even happy with that. It's like Konami is knocking on people's doors. Hello? Please take us back. It's not you, it's us. It's me. Forget about the pachinko machines. Forget about all that other stuff that we did when we shut down PT or Silent Hills. Forget about what we did to Hideo Kojima and how we did him dirty. Please love us again. And you know what? I'll give him a shot. Konami used to be the shit back in the day. With the Ninja Turtle arcade beat 'em ups. With the, just a lot of that stuff, the Castlevania stuff and the Silent Hill stuff and so many great games that they had. And, I think that they do deserve a chance. I mean, because what do we got to lose? They already proved that the Silent Hill 2 remake was a success. Silent Hill F looks awesome. I'm going to pick that up. Damn sure going to pick up Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And I'll give this one a chance too. Provided that they actually remake it the right way. Don't cut shit out like, Capcom did with Resident Evil 3 remake. Half-ass the game. Don't do that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it looks. Hopefully we'll get some more screenshots. We'll get some more videos. And I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy that Konami is all about games again. because that's what we loved them for. That's what we used to love them back in the day for. Not pachinko machines. Good games, good quality games. Another one, Ubisoft. Y'all remember when I talked about, actually years ago, damn, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. They actually did an update on it. It actually still has some life to it. This comes straight from Ubisoft. It says Ubisoft first announced that the remaking of the beloved action adventure game, The Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, that was back in September 2020. They put in a tweet here. Yep, we're still deep in the game, exploring, building, and ensuring that the sands move with purpose. The game is being crafted by a team that truly cares, and they're pouring their hearts and a lot of coffee, a lot of work hours, into every step. Thank you for sticking with us, which is more than what they gave us over the past 4 years, almost 5 years now. September will be 5 years since they announced that game, and all they left us with was a screenshot, and they said absolutely nothing since then. Not a damn thing. Not even a emote or nothing. So the fact that they're still working on it now, the cynical side of me, because I know how Ubisoft does things, and I know that they're a steamy pile of goat shit these days, and they're bleeding money just like a lot of other companies are, and they can't seem to, work their way out of a paper bag. I'm cautiously optimistic about this. Cautiously. Because they've dick teased us before like that. Hey, we're coming out with this game. No, we're not. Forget you heard that. We're gonna just hold that, that Men in Black thing in front of your face and flash it and just hope you forget all about it. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not gonna get all excited about it yet. We're gonna see. We're going to see if there's any more updates. They're saying that, March of 2026. We'll see. I will hold my hat there, and I will talk about this in a couple of months. Let's see where we are in a couple of months with that, because I honestly don't think Ubisoft can really even stay afloat long enough. And even if they do come out with a Sands of Time remake, is it going to be enough to at least boost them back up money-wise? What they've been putting out hasn't really been anything. People are still waiting on the Division 3, if that even happens. The Division 3, people are still talking about that. They want a third one. They haven't said anything about it. I don't even think they even announced the Division 3. So we'll just have to see. And now, let's get on. That's it for the miscellaneous news. Let's get on with our good old idiots at Nintendo. And yes, I said idiots. Last week I barely had any stories, but I have a few stories this week, because now that the Nintendo Switch 2 has, it has blown over, that storm is gone. Now we can get back to brass tacks. And I have a couple of crazy stories here, including something I didn't even know about. It seems as though Amazon and Nintendo have made up. I didn't even know that they were having problems with each other, but Amazon stopped selling Nintendo products for over a year, and I didn't even know that was going on. I don't think a lot of people knew that, but it says Nintendo finally ends its unexplained freeze out with Amazon, and the Switch 2 might be, it says the Switch 2 might be next after more than a year of near total absence. Aside from the rogue echoes, I gotta speak, of wisdom listings, Amazon has finally resumed direct sales of Nintendo published Switch games in the US. So this is only happening over here. The move breaks a long-running freeze-out that saw Amazon skip all sold and shipped by Amazon listings for Switch 2 titles, ignoring pre-orders entirely, and leave everything to third-party sellers. So what they were doing was Amazon was putting their stuff on their site, but they weren't selling them, and they weren't sending them out to people. They weren't shipping them. They put it solely on Nintendo and third-party companies to sell the product. And I'm glad that they actually came to their senses, because this is not the first time that Amazon has gone to war and has had a spat with a major company. Remember, the Amazon Fire tablets, there's a reason why they don't carry the Google Play Store, because they had an issue with Google and all of that stuff. So they won't even carry any of their apps unless you backdoor your way in, through their shitty browser on Silk. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all use Amazon products, y'all know that the bottom of the barrel when it comes to those shitty ass web browsers, Silk, or is it Opera, or one of those things, Dolphin, one of those piece of shit browsers. But yes, for those people who care, you can now buy your Nintendo products and it'll be shipped and sold by Amazon, which is great. Now let's talk about, this was a crazy story here, and I can't even believe that it happened, but it says over $1.4 million of Nintendo Switch 2s were stolen from the back of a truck. Over $1.4 million. They say nearly 3,000 Switch 2 consoles have been reported stolen from a truck transporting stock between Nintendo America headquarters and a Texas GameStop store. Police investigating the Nintendo Switch 2 theft discovered while the driver was en route in Colorado said that the volume of his consoles lost an amount of $1.4 million. Tracking down the culprit or corporates may not prove easy, however, as investigators say, they are currently unsure exactly where the theft took place along the driver's 1,332-mile journey. Was this planned? Was this a planned operation? With the truck tracked from Nintendo headquarters in Redmond, Washington, as targeted specifically, or was it a random theft? Police say multiple pallets of the Nintendo 2 Switch stock was shifted from the truck's trailer, suggesting that at least some level of organization. So, almost 3,000. I think the last time I checked, it was like 2,810 Nintendo Switch 2 consoles were stolen. And each console was sold for $4.99. So that sucks for Nintendo. That sucks for us, because people who pre-ordered that stuff and they were hoping that their console would come to the store, Nintendo has to work harder to send out the shipment if they already haven't done it already. So that completely sucks. That's a crazy story. They haven't caught the guys yet, because this was released last week, a couple of weeks ago. They did leave a number. If you see these people, if you see anything funny, call the number, let them know what's going on. Maybe you can catch these people. Don't be surprised when you start seeing an influx of Nintendo Switch 2s being sold on eBay and Amazon and Facebook Marketplace or Mercari or any of these other spots. When you see these Nintendo Switch 2s in the brand new box. And that sucks for Nintendo, and I hope that something like that doesn't happen again. I jump on Nintendo for the dumb shit that they do, but I don't wish for any companies to go through bullshit like this, especially something that had nothing to do with them. It was just two idiots who decided that they was gonna rob a truck. The same way that it was these two idiots that, claimed that they were selling a PS5 on the Facebook Marketplace and held up 5 people for their money. People are just stupid. So I just hope that they get this situation sorted out. One more Nintendo story here. Remember when I told y'all about Nintendo's user policy, their piracy policy, that they were cracking down on people? It seems as though they are banning people for using the MIG flashcards. If you don't know what the MIG flashcards are, they are like a backup SD card slot that you can use for the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2, they're banning people, perma banning people for backing up games that they own on those cards. It says here, it says, in the case of Switch tools who found their Nintendo Switch 2 console banned after using an MIG card to play their own backed up games. They confirmed this by posting a picture of a stack of games with a handwritten note, and several Reddit users have also had the same experience, again confirming that they own the games and they were attempting to play. This is a message from Switch Tools. It says, just wanted to let everyone know to refrain from using the MIG flashcards on the Switch 2 online for now. My Switch 2 was just banned. My account is fine for now. Only games I had in my backups were the ones I attempted to play and were banned. Pretty dumb of me to go online with it, but that's just me. So, and then he did an update. He said my Nintendo Switch 2 was banned, but my main Nintendo account is not banned. But I wouldn't hold my breath, just waiting for the point for Nintendo to drop the ban hammer on my account. So if you use any third-party stuff for the Nintendo Switch, I implore people not to. Just buy Nintendo stuff. I know it's a pain in the ass, to have to buy their specific things, but to keep things like this from happening, just stick with their official stuff. And I just want to add on something here for the people who are listening to this. With this whole permaban stuff and Nintendo breaking consoles, I'm telling people, you do whatever you want with your money. But I'm making a suggestion. If you're going to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 or a Nintendo Switch, do not buy it used. Do not go on eBay. Do not go on Amazon or any of these other things and buy any consoles from anybody. I'm saying this because do not be surprised. People are very dishonest these days. Do not be surprised when you see somebody selling something, it's brand new in the box, barely used. It's probably a console that's bricked, that does not work. And don't think for 1 second that they won't sell that shit to somebody online, take the money and go buy a new Switch. So I'm telling people, I'm just giving you all that warning. With this policy in place, make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure that that thing works the way that it's supposed to. If you're the type of person that's going to buy something used because you can't afford to buy a brand new, look, I don't judge people. I'm just telling you what the deal is. So just be extra careful, because the last thing you want to do is spend $500, $600 for a Switch 2. You're excited, or your child is excited, and they get a console that's no better than a doorstop. They can't use it. So there's your warning there. I'm just letting y'all know. Let's move on to our good old friends at Sony. Got a couple of notes with them. Let's get on with this. Now, remember when I was talking about the layoffs, that wouldn't be the first time that I talk about it, folks. We're going to be talking about the whole mind's eye players. Now, for the second time that I can remember, Sony is actually issuing refunds from the PlayStation Store, despite it going against the company's usual policy. Mind Eyes, the first title from the studio Build a Rocket Boy. It has launched a game. I believe it was called. What was it called? I think it was called Mind's Eye. Sorry about that. I'm thinking that that's the company. But it has launched and it's been disastrous with the large amount of performance issues, bugs, glitches across all platforms. So not just the PlayStation, Microsoft, PC, all of that stuff. And they're saying that players are now comparing this to the launch of Cyberpunk 2077, which was also refunded. That was the last time PlayStation refunded a game, when you bought it digitally. So they released this game with a bunch of bugs, with a bunch of performance issues and optimization issues and glitches. And this goes back to the point. The point that they're putting out these games without making sure the games actually work, because they have it in their mind frame with all of the updates that we get with these new consoles that we'll just patch it later. We'll just patch it later. You just patch it later. You can't do that. I don't understand it, because y'all don't realize once those servers go down, like let's say somebody, I'm going to play this game, 3 years, 4 years from now. If the servers are not up, they can't update that game. So they literally got a game that's unplayable. And it's like, I hate when these companies do that. If you're going to put games out and you're going to charge people 70, 80, 90 bucks, $100 in some of these countries, make sure the damn game works. Stop taking shortcuts and stop cheating people. Because shit like this happens and you got to give people back their money. That's money that y'all lose. So it's a lose-lose situation for everybody. And I'm sick of seeing stories like this. Stop being fucking lazy. So if you're a PlayStation, I don't know about the other consoles. I don't know about Steam. Steam is usually good with this kind of stuff. I don't know how the Xbox Pass is or any of that other stuff. But at least if you're Sony, you got a refund, hopefully. PlayStation doubles down on their live service plans. Remember how we were talking about the cancellation of the cancellation of all of those live service games that they were planning to come out with, including the God of War online game. It says PlayStation is once again committing to its future live service plans, with several titles in the works despite the recent backlash. While players are skeptical about the company's plans in this area, PlayStation executives see a major earning potential, with much of its mindset likely attributed to the success of the 2024 mega hit Helldivers 2. Released on PC and PlayStation 5 early last year, the live service third action shooter Helldivers 2 earned a commercial and critically acclaimed, selling 1 million units in its first 3 days, reaching 15 million copies by November 2024. So they're leaning on that. Sony Interactive CEO Herman Holst shared that the company will continue building its portfolio of live service games during an annual business presentation shared by Eurogamers. This decision has divided PlayStation fans, as Sony's single-player titles have found more overall success, while titles like Helldivers 2 and Destiny 2 have seen continued success. Players are concerned about the titles currently in the pipeline, including Bungie's Marathon, Haven's Game Fairgrounds, and formerly recently embroiled in plagiarism scandal, while the latter wasn't well received during a recent closed playtest. Now, y'all remember when I talked about that, when they took the art from a young lady who was working on the art in video games. They took it from her, didn't pay her for it, didn't credit her for it. They just stole it. Remember, I talked about that on previous episodes. It says past live services failures from Sony include Concord, The Last of Us Online, and the canceled live service God of War game. And they're just, Sony is never going to live down this Concord stuff. I think Concord is going to be the measuring stick for all of these failed games. I think for all failed games all around the world. My thing on this is like, we have enough of these games. We have enough of these live service games and these gotcha games and these, free to play or light versions or whatever the fuck you want to call it. We have too many of these games. Sony has lost millions of dollars with these types of games, and they still have their head up their ass when it comes to this. They still haven't figured out, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this. Helldivers 2 was lightning in a bottle. Maybe we shouldn't try to catch it again. You have games like Fortnite. You have Dead by Daylight. You got what's the other one? Destiny 2 that I just mentioned. You have so many games that are like that. How are you gonna make a splash in something that's already oversaturated? Sony needs to just focus on what brought them to the dance, and that's just good games, whether it's single player, whether it's multiplayer. And I mean good multiplayer games, not this live service crap. But this is what they have planned. This is what they want to do. They obviously see money in it, which it could be if you make something that's good. If you make something that has great service, something that's great graphics, and something that keeps people coming back, it absolutely can be. But it seems like Sony isn't capable of doing those types of things. So I don't know. Can they really afford to keep wasting money like that? I'll leave that up to you to think about. In my last notes on Sony, it seems as though Sony has confirmed that the PS6 is now in development. The PlayStation 6, so here we are. Is it just me, or are video game console lifespans getting shorter, shorter, and shorter? I think the longest one that I've seen, besides the Atari 2600 years ago, was the PS2. The PS2 lasted about 12, 13 years before they finally hung it up. That's one hell of a lengthy run. But they're already talking about the PS6. It says Sony has now confirmed that the PS6 is officially in development. While there is no release date yet, company leaders have made it clear that the PS6 is one of their main priorities. The president and CEO of Sony Interactive said that the PS6 is at the top of mind at the company during the fireside chat back on June 13th, 2025. So they didn't give much details, but they are saying that it's in the pipelines. We are getting the next generation consoles. We are. And I will get to Microsoft in a second when I get to the Microsoft notes. But Microsoft is talking about the next console, and I'm not talking about the handheld. We're talking about hardware. So Sony is coming out with the PS6. I wouldn't be surprised if next year they came out with it. Nintendo just came out with the Switch 2. It's a power play. Now, could Sony be saying this just to keep all eyes on them? Maybe he's just throwing the idea out, or maybe they actually do have something brewing. We shall see. But the PS6 is on its way. The next Xbox console is most likely on its way. The Switch 2 just came out, so they're going to be riding that wave for a while until there's no more water. So you can pretty much, when the PS5 goes down and when the Xbox Series X goes down in S, that will be the end of this generation console. And my question is this before we move on. At this point, what could they possibly add to the next PlayStation or the next Xbox that they don't already have right now? I remember talking about this in the hot take days when me and Kelsey were talking about how the gaming world has hit a wall graphically. What could they possibly give us on the next console that we don't already have? The graphics are amazing. Look, I talk shit about companies all the time, but let's be real. Xbox graphics are great. PlayStation graphics are great. What's it called? A PC, of course, is great when they do it right. Even the Switch 2, I looked at it. The graphics look amazing on that. Street Fighter 6 looks fucking great on the Switch 2. They've stepped their game up. The Steam Deck, the Asus handheld. We have reached the pinnacle graphically when it comes to stuff. So I'm just saying, like, I hope that they really have something in mind that's gonna make, us gamers want to go out and buy these things. So I just hope that they got something good in mind. Is it gonna be VR? VR hasn't worked because they haven't been selling it. Is it gonna be another handheld? Maybe. Maybe it'll be a PS6 that's a console and a handheld, the way that the Switch 2 is. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what they come up with. All right, let's go on to Microsoft. We got a couple of things here that I want to talk about. And again, we got more layoffs to talk about, and that's going to be, we'll talk about that in a little bit. The next generation Xbox consoles will be powered by AMD in a multi-year partnership. In a video, Xbox president Sarah Bond explains that the partnership will see AMD co-engineer silicon for all ranges of devices, including the next generation of Xbox consoles. Together with AMD, we are advancing the state of art in gaming silicon to deliver the next generation of graphics innovations to unlock a deeper level of visual quality and immersive gameplay and players' experiences enhanced with the power of AI, all while maintaining compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games. She goes on to say that the next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning, says Bond. We can't wait to show you what is next. So apparently, the next Xbox console is ready, not ready, but it's in its early stages of development. Now, I gotta say this. The Xbox hardware has suffered significantly, especially overseas. They can't get people to buy the Xbox Series X and the Series S, and they damn sure won't get people to buy it when they just raise the prices up on this hardware. They got a new handheld coming out that they've been hyping up. Now we're talking about the next Xbox console. I don't know what their game plan is because they've been pushing heavily the Game Pass. That's all they've been talking about is putting the Game Pass on everything that has a screen. But if they continue to do hardware, I hope that they know what they're doing. Because the Game Pass is great, that's good. But you can't forget about the people that have supported Xbox since the very first Xbox console. You can't just kick them to the side and be like, you know what? We're not going to make any more hardware. Fuck you guys. Can't be like that. And like I just said before with the PlayStation 6, she's throwing out a lot of big words, a lot of jargon there saying that this is going to be the next, the next big thing and stuff like that graphically. I will withhold judgment. When we actually see what they have done, then I'll comment more. But at least they have confirmed that they are working on the next Xbox console beyond the Xbox handheld. So we'll just have to see what happens. If you have the Xbox app, it now says that Steam titles and Battle.net titles are now on the Xbox app. Microsoft has begun testing a new version of its Xbox app for Windows, which could incorporate third-party storefronts and retro game support. The overhaul, which is currently rolling out to Xbox insiders, could advance to the Xbox PC app as a launcher, competing with platforms like Steam and Steam OS. It says that the Xbox app will now display games installed on Steam and Battle.net, which I believe Battle.net made the Diablo games, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Within the user's library. Once the game is installed from a supported platform, it will automatically populate in the My Library section and appear on the sidebar of most recent lists. The integration could help PC players struggling to toggle between different launchers. It's saying when a player installs a game from a supported storefront, it will automatically appear in My Library. They just repeated it. But yes, so it looks like they are really trying to make this Xbox app a big thing. And I think that that's a good thing. If you can download Steam titles and stuff from Battle.net, who's to say that they won't integrate Ubisoft and stuff from Epic Games? Because it's true. Anyone who's a PC player knows that there's too many damn storefronts. You got Ubisoft on here on my PC. I'm looking dead at it. I got the Epic Games launcher. I got Steam, I got Ubisoft, and all of this stuff that you have to keep on your PC. If they could somehow find a way to have everything in one launcher, that would be great. So I think that that's very good news, and we'll just have to see what happens, because I still think that it's a great idea to have different ways for people to play, because not everybody can buy a PC. Not everybody can buy an Xbox Series X or S. So to be able to have something that you can play on your phone, on your tablet, I think that that's a great idea. So I will, and I give credit where credit is due. Microsoft is doing something positive here. And last but not least, more layoffs. Microsoft planning major Xbox layoffs. Now, it said next week, but I got these notes a couple of weeks ago. So they didn't report the actual full number of people that they laid off, but it says Microsoft is planning to cut jobs in the company's Xbox gaming business early next week. It's saying, I understand managers at Microsoft have been briefed about the Xbox cuts and wider layoffs in other parts of the Microsoft businesses. The upcoming cuts are also expected to hit the Microsoft sales organization just at the start of the new financial year. Now, this is the third time this year. Let us remember this. This is the third time this year that Microsoft has cut people. They cut over 6,000 employees this year. This year. You're talking about trimming the fat. They gutting people. That's not even trimming the fat. They're literally just taking a knife and a shovel and just saying, hey, let's just get this stuff out of here. We don't need it anymore. 6,000. And this was since May. 6,000 employees. And it said that it laid off, the first one was Microsoft laid off 1,900 Activision, Blizzard, and Xbox employees back in January of 2024. And it's funny how they picked up all of these companies, Blizzard, and did jack shit with them. They did jack shit with Tango Gameworks, and they did jack shit with Redfall developers. The last layoffs that they did was a total of 650 Xbox employees. This was September of last year. So what are we doing here? You know, I know that I said earlier that they're trimming the fat, but they're gutting all of their stuff. They're gutting all of these divisions. And they're saying that they're putting people elsewhere, but it doesn't sound that way to me. It looks like they're just, they're starting at the top and they're working their way out, just getting rid of people that they don't need or they don't see as valuable. And that sucks. That sucks. I said it before. I will keep saying it. It sucks when you're in a position to where you have to start cutting people who have worked hard for you, who have done nothing but do the best that they could to be great employees. It's like I compared the video game companies to wrestling companies these days. You have a company like AEW, WWE, who hire and lock down so many people just to keep the other company from getting that person. They don't use the people, and you end up with an inflated roster. And you have people flying out to these places and showing up to the shows, and they're not being used, and then they end up on the cut list. And that sucks. That's not very good business tactics. So I hope that this is the last time that I have to talk about Microsoft cutting people or any of these other gaming companies, because I'm sick and tired of seeing gaming companies folding, gaming developers closing up shop, and just, moving forward with something else. But I got to add here, tell me if y'all agree with me a lot or not. We are in a very interesting period when you talk about video games. Look at what's going on. A new Switch. We got new consoles on the way. We're getting remakes of games that we've been wanting for years. At the same time, we're getting all of these layoffs and massive cuts and companies closing up. It's a very yin and yang situation, don't you think? And I'm just waiting to see what happens next. Thank you to everyone that showed up today. I appreciate every single one of y'all. I will be back in 2 weeks with episode 5. Hopefully with some more good news, some more positive news, because I like those kinds of things. It makes me smile. I will have this out to the feed with everybody being able to listen to it up there on Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podchaser. If you want to listen to this live, I'm sorry, this is a recording. It is what it is, but I will be on YouTube and I will upload this to Twitch so that you can watch this in my VODs. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I love y'all. And I will be back on Sunday with some more Batman Arkham Asylum. Y'all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I will see y'all later.